have ADHD, I have ADHD. Let's keep reading Proverbs 31. Okay, today is day 4 of Bible study. I actually missed yesterday, but today I'm going to read it out loud and then try to go over what I learned about God, what I learned about mankind, and what the themes are, because I think I can get all 3 of those from reading it out loud and like kind of pausing and answering wherever I notice something. So let's read it loud together. Okay, starting in verse 1. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, and wine be for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. So that's 1 through 7, and I'm gonna write, let's see, this could be learn about mankind or learn about God. I'm gonna say learn about mankind. Maybe it seems like alcohol has purpose, but not for those who are in power, not for those while they're making decisions. Okay, and then in verse 8, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and needy. Okay, and themes, I remember also from like past reading later when we're talking about the Proverbs 31 woman, like helping the poor and needy is a big theme. So in themes, I'm writing helping the poor and needy. And verse 10, a wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. So learn about mankind. I'm going to say a good wife is very valuable for a husband. And then I'm writing good wife includes working hard. And starting in verse 14, she is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. In her hands, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. And then in the same section about like what a good wife is, I'm writing the work she does diligently or well. In verse 20, she opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. So that goes back to our themes. So the poor and needy theme was in verse 8 and 9, and also verse 20. Okay, verse 21. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. Okay, from that section, I'm writing, in the good wife section of learn about mankind, I'm writing, she takes care of her family, she's strong, and she does not fear the future. Verse 26, she speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. So from that section, I'm writing, she teaches. That's from verse 26, and also she is wise, also from verse 26. And then what I learned about God is the only section I still need to fill out. And I see that in verse 30 is where we hear about God, where it says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So what we learn about God is that he values fearing him / serving him above charm and beauty. And then overall, what we know from Proverbs is like practical principles that aren't necessarily always promises, but they're principles to follow. So we know that since we're seeing the Proverbs 31 woman as an example of the kind of woman that a mom wants her son to look for, that this is the kind of woman that we can model our lives after to know like how to be godly women. My main question after all of this is, how is this woman doing all these things? And am I really expected to be doing all these things too? Because this seems kind of crazy. Super high expectations, and in my mind it doesn't seem to match up with the rest of like what I know about Christianity and like not being based on works. So let's write that down as a question, and you do research and I will do research on the internet, and we'll come back and see what we find. Okay, I found this blog post from Daily She Pursues, and I read the whole thing, and from what I can see, it seems to line up with the rest of the Bible. So here's what they said. So they said that the Proverbs 31 woman, like those list of all those things, isn't a list to follow, but is like the ideal woman for a man. And then this means that since in Christianity, and the Bible tells us, Romans 6:23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, none of us are going to be able to measure up to this ideal. Like, no woman will ever measure up perfectly to this ideal. And what this blog post specifically said was that it's supposed to be that one of those end verses that says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. These are supposed to be a list of things that if you fear the Lord, like, these things will start to come out of you, instead of do these things so that you fear the Lord. So if you fear the Lord, then like over time, like through sanctification, which that's a word that I learned, that sanctification is the slow process of sin being removed from your life and good things being added to your life after you become a Christian, which means you're already saved. Your faith is not based on those things, but you grow as a Christian and start to grow in those things. But with that idea in mind, it reminds me of when I learned about the fruit of the Spirit. Because in Galatians 5:22, it says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I used to think when I was reading these, like, oh, here's a list of things I need to become. But that's literally like not the point. The point is that it's the fruit that comes out of having the Holy Spirit, and how you test to see if somebody has the Holy Spirit is if they have these fruits. So by having the Holy Spirit over time, the Holy Spirit helps sanctify you, and then when you look at your life, you will see love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Just like with the Proverbs 31 woman, if you fear the Lord, over time, your life will start to look like these things, instead of trying to force your life to look like these things, which I thought was super helpful. Yeah, that totally another article that I'll have to find again said that the Proverbs 31 woman isn't even supposed to be about a woman at all. It's supposed to be personifying wisdom. So nobody can be this, but men and women and children and everyone should strive to be these things, because this is like the personification of wisdom as a woman.